Welcome to Mother Mary's Apothecary. My name is Valerie. I'm your host, and I'm honored to be here for podcast number 2. Mother Mary's Apothecary is all about staying wholly healthy and happy. And if you would like to support the channel and our mission, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That really helps to support the channel and the teachings, as well as hit the bell for notifications. There will be details in the description box below for website information, MotherMary'sApothecary.com, and how to contact me personally directly, Valerie, at info@MotherMary'sApothecary.com. But I'll keep all of that in the description box below. We continue our theme and celebration of spring. If you watched podcast number 1, the focus was about dandelion. So we're really focusing on herb medicine, plant medicine, and that's actually the foundation of our teachings at Mother Mary's Apothecary, really connecting to nature and in particular the all of the healing modalities and healing aspects. So I want to start. I've got notes. I want to make sure I get through everything because this is going to be a great podcast, and we are going to focus not only again on spring as mentioned, but a new herb really that to introduce, well, new but known pretty much in the sense that it's considered a very common herb. It's thyme, okay? So maybe new today to you in its medicinal aspects, but you're probably really familiar with it in the kitchen. And the opening prayer or text for inspiration today is from the Bhagavad Gita. So from the sacred Indian text, chapter 9, text 26. And what's really interesting, this chapter is entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge. Okay, so think about that, something that is confidential. And when we think, well, thyme, got that, in my kitchen. What's the big deal? Well, this is confidential. You may not realize the miraculous properties that this medicinal plant, qualities that it has, and how much it can enhance your health and your life, your happiness. So, going back to the Bhagavad Gita, the most confidential knowledge, Lord Krishna says, if one offers to me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or even water, I will accept it. Okay, that's one of probably several translations you'll find out there. But this idea of making an offering or offering and connecting to the divine with this simple but beautiful offering. And the leaf of thyme. We'll talk about thyme in many aspects today. So our offering to the divine today, together as a satsang, as a community of like-minded individuals who are interested in being wholly healthy and happy, who are interested in liberation, in jivan mukti, in their lifetimes. So in this lifetime, then, here we go. Let's explore, let's dive in. So again, getting back to this idea of spring and of course of spring cleaning. So there's always a big theme and focus on detoxing, right? We're coming out of the winter months where we accumulate, a lot of weight, for example. We tend to eat more, we tend to sleep more, we're less active. We've been in quarantine, we've been in hibernation, the sun rises, the spring equinox, and things come back to life again. So again, watch podcast 1 and the dandelion segment to really get your detox inspiration going. But we're thinking about spring cleaning. So we're thinking about cleansing and clearing, okay? Thyme as an herb, as a plant, the Latin name for it is Thymus vulgaris, and that vulgaris actually refers to common, meaning this is a common garden herb. And that is, if we go back to the confidential knowledge, right? Shh, everybody else has forgotten, but we're going to remember that this is not a common plant. This is a magical herb. And it, in fact, it's got medicinal qualities, and it will have even a lot of psychic benefits and emotional qualities. It boosts us also emotionally. So if you're interested in stuff like that. First off, thyme is extremely fragrant, okay? So I'm gonna stick my nose in this. It's just got this really pungent smell. It's earthy. It's very distinctive. And it's also, yeah, it's got a very clean quality to it as well. So it's fragrant. Aromatic would be another great way to describe it. It's pungent and it's really flavorful. So it's been used in cooking. We're going to talk about that throughout time. I was going to say again, throughout the ages, because it's really flavorful. It's very fragrant, and it actually has the ability to preserve foods. Okay, so I want you to think back several centuries ago. In fact, it's a plant. It's a medicinal plant, but it, yeah, here's my note. It originates pretty much from the Mediterranean, and quickly found a popularity throughout Europe, and was, really cultivated and popularized by the Romans. So, and you'll find it a lot in regularly in Mediterranean cuisine and recipes. Particularly Italian cuisine tends to really include thyme. So, whether it's a pasta dish, a pizza, you can use this dried, you can use it fresh, and we'll talk about other ways to use it, including, oils and even incense, right? So you can see some incense burning behind me. Okay, so it was a cooking herb. And it was, really made popular in Europe by the Romans, but in particular, the pagans in Europe, so the European pagan community, referred to thyme regularly for its medicinal properties and for its magical qualities. So in the art of witchcraft, in that associating of herbs and medicine and magic, thyme is a very popular herb. Remember, if you watch podcast number 1, I explain how the very word herb includes her, the sacred feminine. And when we think of thyme as a plant, it is associated with the sacred feminine. We're also going to talk a lot today about the color green. You can see I'm wearing green plants, the green plants. Thyme is considered an evergreen, okay? And in particular, it has amazing antibacterial, antiseptic, I don't want to miss any of these, but antiseptic, antimicrobial, antispasmodic. So it's great for inflammation, for bacteria, for fungus, for phlegm, and it's one of those pungent herbs, one of those pungent sacred plants that very similar, these super plants or superfoods, as I will refer to them, because they really are divine, they're holy. This is our divine connection. It's the closest really we can get. We literally ingest it. And if we make it an offering, if we offer it to the divine, as Lord Krishna suggests, we really tap into the divine essence. So it's got these, amazing effects, and it can be used as a tonic, but it's shared by these, dandelion had very similar qualities to it. We'll talk about some of the differences between dandelion and thyme. But essentially, it's great for spring detoxing, for spring cleansing. That being said, thyme grows well in a variety of locations and quite a variety of temperatures and environments. You can even continue to grow it throughout the colder months, in winter even. It does enjoy direct sun. It enjoys sun, or full sun, I should say, and it can even be harvested in the colder months. So that's, you could have your thyme garden throughout, winter, for example. So already keeping in mind, the idea of detoxing, not just necessarily accumulating phlegm and mucus throughout December, January, February, but keeping this as part of your annual um, repertoire of medicinal plants. So it also tends to pair really well with lavender, and they also share similar qualities and a similar growing environment. They pair up very beautifully um, in recipes, in teas or infusions, which you can see my thyme infusion. I'll talk about that and other amazing things you can do with this plant. But yeah, that's just a suggestion. Lavender pairs up really beautiful with thyme. But essentially, it can be used fresh, it can be used dried, it can be distilled. It's phenomenal in essential oils. Okay, so if you're distilling it for an essential oil, you can certainly, as mentioned, create teas, medicinal teas or infusions. But also, because it's an antiseptic, it's phenomenal for, natural mouthwashes or gargling, sore throats, anything related to the sinuses as well. So this is an evergreen, and remember, it's very fragrant, it's very aromatic, and you can even make nasal sprays with it, or decongestants. Especially if you were coming down with maybe some kind of sore throat, dry throat, irritation. This could be not necessarily from a weakened immune system, but, again, going back to spring season, if you are kind of out of tune with Mother Earth and living in a very kind of hermetic in that sense, very sealed, air conditioned, unnatural climate, your body tends to get out of tune with nature and the seasonal climate changes, including obviously pollen. Depending on where you're living, some people can really experience high allergies. So this is great for allergies as well. So keep that in mind instead of necessarily taking pharmaceuticals and things like that. Thyme should be at the top of your list. And then also including a lot of beauty products, right? You can put this thyme infused in lotions, in bath salts, in bath oils, even massage oils. You always want, of course, carrier oil in case there's some sensitivity typically to the pure essential oil itself. But again, can be used in multitude of ways. And in particular, thyme is really, really beneficial. If we go back to this idea of detoxing, of cleansing, and spraying with the GI, the gastrointestinal tract, especially for things like gas, bloating, abdominal pain. It's phenomenal for alleviating a lot of GI disorders. And obviously, the more enlightened your diet becomes, and that's a huge part of the teachings here at Mother Mary's Apothecary, is if we are eating a sad diet, so the standard American diet pretty much will make you sad, and it will energetically keep you very low in energy, in prana, and life force. And one of the first signs of depleted prana and even a depleted aura, if we're talking about our more subtle bodies is the GI tract. So when you suffer from, and there's so many different, whether it's acid reflux, and constipation. I've already talked about gas, Crohn's disease. I mean, there's so many, irritable bowel syndrome. I mean, if you just spend even 10 minutes watching anything on TV, I'm pretty confident at some point you're going to hear an infomercial for some kind of gastric, medicine. Yeah, so this is what we call a carminative herb, and it's going to address the imbalances, or rather the dis-ease of your gut, okay? So that, and really the gut is where not only is it our solar plex chakra, so it's our willpower, it's our free will, it's our desires, our center for inspiration, and for drive. It's really where we get that energy to keep us going. That is essential to keep in check, to keep in balance. And we're talking about the chakras. I wanted to mention the solar plex chakra because that's, the gut and what this plant is so beneficial for. But of course, we're going to talk about color therapy and the chakras. In particular today, the one that we're going to focus on is the heart chakra, because the color green, which is associated with spring. Podcast number 1, I focused a lot about on the colors specifically associated with the celebration of Ostara or Easter and the spring equinox, which were very beautiful, light colors such as pinks and yellows. But really, spring and Mother Earth and nature are first and foremost associated with the color green. And green is really the quintessential color and vibration of the heart chakra. So I want to talk more about the heart chakra. I'm going to come back to it. But when we talk about the herb thyme from a medicinal standpoint, it's also great for any cardiovascular issues, right? So we went from the gut, third chakra, fourth, right to the very heart, the center of our issues, which, include on a physical level our circulatory system, respiratory system. Remember, it's part of the evergreen family. So your lungs, being able to breathe with ease, right? Any kind of phlegm, mucus, sinuses, and allergies, thyme is going to be extremely beneficial. And, it's got a heating effect. So one of the differences between dandelion and thyme, they're both very pungent plants. They both have tremendous medicinal qualities. One is considered more cooling, so dandelion has more of a cooling effect, which is great for detoxing, especially if you've created or built up a lot of that mucus and phlegm and heat. It's got a really cooling effect for the body. This particular medicinal quality in thyme is actually heating. So if you want to start stoking your digestive tract, right, the Agni, the fire, stoking that heat within. And, this is not just physical, and this is a big part of the teachings with Mother Mary's Apothecary, is we really have to start expanding our understanding of health and really, change our perspective and use just a wider lens, panoramic lens, to understand that to be healthy, to be holy, to be healthy, to be happy, really must include our spiritual health, our psychic health, our subtle body health. And that if we limit our scope and our focus on the purely physical, how many calories does it have? Well, what about the karmic qualities to it, or the karmic points, or karmic diet system is what I'm going to start teaching. What are the what is the karma attached with this particular food? And is it going to increase or decrease your life force? And, how expensive is it? It's a really interesting way of thinking about what we take in, what we literally ingest, what we materialize and manifest and truly become and synthesize in our bodies and eventually our minds. What we materialize, what we actually become, and the qualities that we exude. So what we take in is what we become, is what we give off. And, if we want to stoke that desire, said, to have a burning desire on a mission towards enlightenment and liberation, then thyme is a great way to heat things up. So it's, in fact, in the tarot deck, it's associated with the Queen of Wands, or in the Herb Crafter's Tarot deck, which I will include the link for in the description box below. It's one of my absolute favorite tarot decks. It's associated with the Queen of Wands, or it's called the Madre of Fire card. Thyme, Madre of Fire. It's just amazing to stoke the fires within the GI system, but also for creativity. Remember, spring is the season when the sun rises. We talked about that in podcast number 1. And things come back to life. Literally, the earth, obviously depending on where you live geographically, but for those of us in the northern hemisphere, the earth comes back to life, literally. And it's a time of creativity. It's a time of birthing. And so if your intention is to, start really putting things in your life into effect that you've had on the back burner, so to speak, that you've been either meditating on in the winter months, which are good months to do that, to really go within, to reflect, to meditate, and to put a plan of action into effect. Spring is the time for movement, right? You think of springing forward, even when it comes to time, when it comes to the clocks. So it's got this very heating quality to it. So just FYI, depending on what your dosha is, if you are a vata, tend to be cold all the time, this is a great plant to kind of heat you up, literally. And, it also, speaking of heat, well, the opposite is freezing, cold. This actually freezes really well. So you could actually freeze it and, again, have it available to you, if not in its natural, live state in the winter months. You could freeze it and use it that way. Okay, so we talked about its cooking quality, cooking aspects, how flavorful, fragrant, how it can be used to preserve foods, how it even freezes. Let's talk about some of the more esoteric qualities to thyme. And, it was used in magic. It was used in pagan celebrations and pagan worshiping and connection to the divine by because of its cleansing effect. So think of it, if it's really cleansing for you physically, it's really cleansing for you psychically. In fact, if you want to clear any negative energy in a space, if you want to create sukha, ease and joy in a space, sukha, and this is really cool. If you've ever been to a Middle Eastern market, or if you've been in the Middle East and you're familiar with the word souk, the souk is the market. It's the very heart. It's the very center of the space, of the city. It's where all life is, right? You think of a really lively market, the souk, the heart, the center. And it's a good space where, things are alive and creative, right? If you think of it on an energetic level, from a community and standpoint. So the souk is the center and sukha is good space. So the opposite would be dukkha. So if you're in a place of bad space, of negative energy, and you want to clear that space, traditionally thyme has been used. You can burn it, you can dry it, you can burn it, create it and use it as a form of saging or incense to literally clear the energy of a bad space. Okay, so it has a very balancing effect energetically, atmospherically, and also that aromatic scent has a very deep connection with our senses to a more divine mood. It is also known for enhancing or inviting prosperity in your life. Okay, so if we think of the sacred feminine, and the Empress in the tarot, talked about her in podcast number 1, associated with the number 3. Okay, that's the G, that's the generative process. Okay, it is the heart chakra, the green, the G, the great Empress, who is the catalyst for all creation. Okay, and if we think of the heart chakra, if you can envision it, it is a 6-petaled star a 6-pointed star within a 6-petaled flower. Notice these are all multiples, so 3, 4, 12, all sacred numerology. 3, 6, 12. That's what I meant. 3, 6, 12. So 3, the Empress, the 6-pointed star. Think of the Lovers, and 12, which would again be 2 plus 1 is 3, and 2 being the energy of the High Priestess, 1 the energy of the Magician, and the qualities to this are very purifying, very rebalancing, and if you want to attract lots of prosperity and luck, you're feeling inspired and creative, time and time again, include this incredible plant, which is anything but common, certainly not vulgar, right? We tend to, yes, vulgar in the Latin referring to common. This is not, this is great teachings are typically kept secret or are hidden. That's what the word occult means, right? Occult teachings. They are not known to the general audience or public, and their properties or qualities are revealed. So if we think about that again, it was the most confidential knowledge. It's like, shh, this is magic. Right now, it has medicinal qualities. You can use it as a disinfectant. So you can disinfect wounds with it, you can purify space with it, you can use it before doing ritual work, spiritual work, prayer work, meditation. So here's the thing, and I talked about how it was very popular with the Romans in the Mediterranean basin and gained its popularity throughout Europe. The Romans in particular, when they were prepping their soldiers for battle, thyme was used to give them great courage. So it's associated with being courageous, with being strong, not just physically, probably because it's beneficial cardiovascularly, and I'm going to hold that thought and come back to it, but also because psychically it will increase, here's my note, courage, bravery. If you suffer from anxiety, okay, post-traumatic syndrome, we've got, soldiers who've come back from battle in the, contemporary here and now, not, but if you think of the Roman soldiers, it was known and used to induce courage and to reduce anxiety, stress, and tension, nerves. So this is a great herb to keep in your repertoire if you get the jitters, if you're feeling a lack of confidence, if you're trying to put those plans into effect, you've got these hopes and dreams, you want to, go for it and you're just feeling stuck or you're not feeling confident. Maybe you have a big meeting coming up, whatever it is, this is an absolute must, okay? Also, remember, if you are suffering from depression, this is an antidepressant plant from depression, and very importantly, grief. Okay, if you have yourself or friends and family that are suffering from the loss of a loved one, of a beloved person, a beloved animal that has passed, the heart chakra is where we hold that grief. And, in even Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, we will suffer and deplete the heart chakra. And so that will manifest in physically within the lungs and the chest. So anything related to thoracic, and it can be from asthma is another one, to bronchitis, to lung cancer. So if you also want to honor the dead, or are trying to create a ceremony to honor the dead, to create a sacred space, if someone has passed, then this is really an amazing plant to have in the space, to burn, and to honor in particular. So keep that in mind for yourself and for others. So I want to get back to this idea of what thyme is associated with. It is the heart chakra, the green element, if we specifically are focusing on color therapy. And I want to say this, really take note and notice the colors that you are wearing, okay? I really wanted to wear green today. I wear it very often. It's one of my absolute favorite colors to wear. And it is really important if you're trying to enhance your mood, your auric field, your care, your compassion for others, your ability to feel, your ability, you want to become more clairsentient, wear green, eat green, go green, okay? That is all associated with the sacred feminine. It's also associated with Venus, which is the planet of beauty, love, and attraction. There goes that creativity again. It's exponential with green and with thyme, right? Those seeds that you plant will grow in time. Okay. You can also anoint your body with thyme. You can, again, as mentioned, make essential oils and sprays. You can soak in it, and that was part of some of the Roman therapies, is their Roman baths with this sacred herb to increase courage. What else? Oh, speaking of thyme, when we go into the dream state, if you're having trouble sleeping, which is often tied into nerves, anxiety, tension, worry, grief, depression, well, thyme will help with sleeping, okay? It's a great way to enhance and induce restful sleep. You can even put it around your pillow. You can dry it, put it in a sachet, and put it under your pillow in that respect. So really, really great way to use it in so many different ways. Again, it's one of the most medicinal plants. And I want to make sure, oh yeah, it actually, this is some of the other things I wanted to mention. It comes from the Greek thymon, which means to burn as a sacrifice, or even refers to incense. So in its very ancient etymology, it refers to the fire, the magical propriety or magical rite of fire, of burning. The kundalini, kun means to burn. It also refers to a coil, but to burn. It's like you're burning away the impurities. And that's why it's heating. That's why it's a catalyst. That's why it will enhance creativity. Let's see. Some of the other great goddesses it's associated with, I mentioned the heart, or Mother Earth. And if you think of heart and earth, it is the same word, right? You just move the H, and it's the same word, heart and Mother Earth. Planet also associated is Venus. And here's a really, really cool thing. I had some notes on. So thyme, the herb, the plant, is associated with the sacred feminine, the green, the heart chakra, and actually physically, scientifically enhances, ease for or allows for healing properties that for the cardiovascular system. That's where I was going with this. So if you, and it's thymosin, which is the thymus gland. This is where I'm going with this. You have the thymus gland is actually located right behind the sternum, okay? Right in the center of your chest and your heart is the thymus gland, and it's spelled Thymus, okay? And thyme, Thyme, stimulates the heart chakra. Coincidence? And what's really, really mind-blowing is that the thymus gland really, it's really working during and up to puberty and is linked to that particular phase of development. And then suddenly in adulthood, it just starts to shrink, which is just crazy. And really, when you think of it on an esoteric level, is that as we grow and we lose the innocence of our childhood, we start to close our heart, right? So the thymus gland, which is instrumental in puberty. What is puberty? Puberty is associated with spring, hormones, sex, growth, attraction, the law of attraction, the mood of attraction. And so this gland and its secretion, which is that hormone thymosin, it starts to shrink. And it's like as we become more hardened with life, we start to close up the heart chakra. And that's a direct result. And so if we stay connected to the heart and we really tap in and we enhance the heart chakra, we keep it open. In yoga we have heart openers, back bends. And guess what? We go back to the future. How about that for, a mind bend? You go back to the future. Speaking of time and how it relates to time. You open your heart, you open the possibilities, you go back to the future, okay? And in particular, the hormone of the thymus gland that's secreted is really high in fighting off disease, or that's what it does. It fights off diseases and increases T cells, okay? So it's like a warrior hormone type, disease fighting hormone that we lose over time. So really make sure you open and work on your heart chakra, that you go green, think green, wear green, eat all sorts of plants, in particular the thyme herb for your thymus gland. And it's associated with the element of, I said the sacred feminine, but the element of air and water and earth. But if you think of, Venus, she's associated with the astrological sign of Taurus. So think of very earth connected, but also the qualities of beauty and love and attraction. Love is in the air. So got a lot of elements associated with her. Another thing that I found very interesting, and of course we always encourage for good karmic reasons to eat green and go green here at Mother Mary's Apothecary, that if you eat live foods, you will include your life force, and if you eat dead foods, well, you're going to lose life force. You're going to add death literally to your plate and to your body. But this was an interesting fact that when poultry flocks were vaccinated, or are vaccinated, that if they were treated or given thyme, that it offered a protective effect against disease. So there you go. It really does have, and this was specific to vaccination. And the only reason I'm bringing up poultry flocks is to remind us to be compassionate. That if we want to open the heart chakra and grow with our compassion and become really enlightened and compassionate towards all sentient beings, then, we really have to try to cause the least harm possible to ourselves, to the animals, and to the planet. So, vaccination obviously is a word that we're hearing a lot about. So that's some food for thought when it comes to natural remedies against disease, against bacteria and viruses, because this has all of those qualities. And the Anahata chakra, which is the heart chakra, Bija mantra seed sound, yum, okay, is actually means unhurt or unstruck. So I hope this really enlightens you when it comes to the heart chakra, when it inspires you for spring, to be green, to go green, to be holy, to be healthy, to be happy with time. Throughout time. I think I've said that a lot today, but I really want to drive that message home. And I'll include some simple recipes as well and links, but very simple infusion of pure water. This was actually made with fresh live thyme, and you can add some lemon, some natural lemon. If you're ingesting essential oils, know that can be a very controversial topic, and we can talk about that on different podcasts. I actually do have 2 drops of a very pure essential lavender oil in here. Again, I want to talk about that probably in a separate podcast, but go ahead and just add live foods when in doubt, and just be willing to explore the possibilities, and always offer first and foremost to the divine, as Lord Krishna says. Offer him a flower, a fruit, water. This is the most beautiful of blessings, and may we really thrive this season. So thank you for joining me, Valerie, Mother Mary's Apothecary. Again, Mother Mary's Apothecary website details are in the description box below. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel to support it and the teachings, and don't forget to hit the bell for notifications. Hopefully I'll be able to post podcast number 3 real soon, and just keep doing what you're doing, which is open to possibilities and connection to the divine. Om Shanti, peace to you all as we offer and bring the highest intention to what we do always. Om Shanti, namaste, peace, and see you soon. Go green, be well.